and welcome KCIW listeners at 100.7 FM or online at kciw.org, beautiful Brookings, Oregon. Hi to our syndicated listeners at KZZH 96.7 FM, Access, Humboldt, Eureka, California. And a special welcome to listeners at KSKQ 89.5 FM, Ashland, and 94.1 FM, Medford, Oregon. This is Joyously Free Radio Gadio with me, Joanie Lindenmeyer, the best-selling author of None Better, an amazing love story, and co-author of Joyously Free and Healing Religious Hurts. I'm so glad that you are tuning in today. So I'm a resident of Harbor, Oregon, a retired high school teacher, a recent author, and with friend and film producer Michael Gorse, we created a short film called Wowzer. More details coming, but be ready for the Wild Rivers Film Festival in August. Most of all, I love life and love being the producer and host of this high-energy, joyously free Radio Gadio show, so named by my friends Will and Viv. This show talks about LGBTQ plus stories and tips, along with religion, church, faith, spirituality, and most importantly, joy. Yes, the purpose of the show is to share, radiate, and spread abundant joy and freedom. Hence the title, Joyously Free, which just happens to be the title of my second book that I co-authored with Elizabeth Ann Atkins of twosisterswriting.com. In this Radio Gadio broadcast, just as in my everyday life, there will be no hate speech, no hate behaviors, and no bullying. It will be blasted with the 3 C's: courage, confidence, and collaboration. It's together that we sparkle and seek understanding. Think out of the box or no boxes at all. To be open-minded as an open parachute. So let's begin with our daily salutation. I'll say it's a brand new day, and if you would please respond with, it's never been lived before. Let's give it a try. It's a brand new day.
It's never been lived before.
Yeah! Ooh, right on, right on. And that's the truth. And that's something that Carol and I said to each other every day for 40 years. Our special guest is sitting right across from me, twinkling eyes, which I'm loving, but you'll meet her in just a minute. Let's first off start with our prayer. Let's calmly open our hearts, ask the divine to shine light on our community and our world. I excitedly believe in hope, in the power of the spiritual, and that Jesus, God, Spirit, whatever name you put on a higher being, is always with me and always with you. So be not afraid or troubled, saddened or depressed. Joy and peace are an internal expression of love and harmony that is already within each of us. We only have to dig deep within and let it out. Let's center ourselves. Take a breath in with the good and out with doubt. Again, breathe in through your nose with hope and out from your mouth with fears. And last one, take a deep breath in with joy and out with worry or despair. And in the name of Mother Earth, a Creator God, Jesus Redeemer, and the blowing winds of the Holy Spirit, we say, hi, hi love, hi light, hi God, hi Spirit. Thank you for being with us on this beautiful day. Well, today's quote I took from a funny notebook I have of funny church billboard signs. And so this is what was written on a church billboard. Come as you are, change inside. I love that. It's not really funny, but I think it's really true. Come as you are, change inside. Wherever you go, whether that's a restaurant or a church or a bowling alley or a bar or your friend's house or in your own house, be you. That's the message. Be you. And if you want to change to be a better person, that's your choice. You don't have control over anybody else and changing them. Just work on changing yourself to be a better person. So come as you are. Change how you want to change. Oh my gosh, those are my thoughts. Let us end this loving prayer by lifting up our friends and family. May you and I find divine guidance and healing today. May you, God, give us the joy, the power, the strength, whatever we may need to be our best selves. In your will, amen. Well, That's a quick little prayer and a quick little insight. But more importantly, I want to get into our guest speaker today. We have with us Miranda Plagge. Did I say that correctly?
You did.
I got it right. When you see it in print, it looks a little different. But Miranda is so generous to spend her time and energy with us, and you get to know her better. Her title is the Economic Development Administrator for Curry County, and that is a mouthful. But hang on, because she's going to explain what she does, where she goes, who she interacts with, because our topic is expand your world, become and welcome tourists. That's what community is. So welcome, Miranda. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. You're right. I do have quite a bit on my plate, including destination development, which is for Oregon's Wild Rivers Coast, which is the brand that we actually use to market our region. So Oregon's Wild Rivers Coast is something that we proudly were able to develop over the last few years, and we launched it in 2025. So it's still kind of new to the marketing universe, to tourists. So we're doing our best to get our name out there and make sure that people know our destination, which is Curry County. And so I have the privilege of being able to tell the stories here in Curry.
Awesome. And tell the stories. I love it.
Yeah. And that's really my theme in my life, I think, is telling stories. And my background really starts off in creative media with an emphasis in filmmaking.
Oh,
so that's why I would know Mike and Sue and whatnot. I minored in business entrepreneurship, so I get to combine the storytelling essentially with economic development every day.
That's cool.
So it's a real. I think a lot of people wouldn't put those two together in any universe, but they certainly work in mine.
Right on.
I tend to be able to use both sides of my brain pretty well and evenly. So it keeps me engaged.
There you go. There you go. And you have this great smile, so I can see how easy it is for you to interact with people and hear their stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. And the whole wild rivers. People ask me all the time. I've been in this county now for 35 years, Miranda. What are the wild rivers? Do you want to start us off with that? What are the wild rivers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 5 national wild and scenic rivers here in the county. That is actually the most national wild and scenic rivers in the contiguous United States.
That's amazing.
So it is something to be proud of. And that's exactly why we went back to our, who we are. We're wild rivers. And so we wanted to placemake and make sure people understood that there's some wild rivers in Northern California, and there is, a good number of them in Oregon. And so we made sure to brand Oregon's Wild Rivers Coast so people knew exactly where they were at.
I love it.
Yeah.
So listeners out there, can you think of the 5 wild rivers? Think about that one for a second. Maybe Miranda's going to share what they are here in a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it starts off with the 6s in the North County, right up in Port Orford, up 6s. And then we also have the Elk River.
Yes.
We have the Illinois.
Yes.
The Rogue. And I believe the Checo.
Yes.
Yeah. So those 5 national wild and scenic rivers have put us right here as a beautiful destination.
Absolutely.
It's really who makes up, around those wild rivers that I have the joy of sort of being able to tell those stories.
And generational stories.
Generational stories, yeah. Right. Even all the way back with, the natives, which I think I'm getting excited to actually delve into a little bit more of. I want to certainly understand those stories as well.
Absolutely. The indigenous. Oh,
my
gosh.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Our ancestors are so important to all of us.
All of us. I mean, they really are a part of, the makeup of how this land has been stewarded for generations, and so I'm looking forward to being able to tell that story as well.
Right on, right. So do you have a story up your sleeve right now that you want to share related to any of the rivers?
Oh, a story up my sleeve about the rivers. Funny enough, when I actually moved here, I come from Colorado, where creeks and rivers certainly don't run like the Rogue River.
Okay.
And so,
and what do you mean by that?
So, in the sense that they're not very. You can find a majority of creeks and rivers in Colorado that you can actually play in without worrying about getting swept away or pulled down or dragged. So I immediately was sort of given the rights of passage of don't go on the road, river is dangerous. And so when my folks asked, oh, is there anywhere to play in the rivers and whatnot, I said, not that I've found, at least in Gold Beach, the water here is deadly. And so they, what do you mean? And I said, well, besides the coastline being deadly, don't turn your back on the water. Also, the river is also pretty, swift, dangerous, can pull you under pretty quickly. So I heard a lot of horror stories. And so it was like, okay, water's dangerous around here. So that one's kind of funny to me. The fact that that was sort of the introduction to the rivers and whatnot.
And they are wild.
They're wild. They're wild and scenic. So I had the pleasure of going up the river on the jet boats, Jerry's jet boats, which I think we all absolutely adore. And it's such a beautiful ride up the river, and you sort of get to see the natural surroundings.
Oh, the habitat.
The habitat, seeing bears, had so many interactions with bald eagles. Never had seen so many bald eagles in my life until I moved here.
Oh, very nice.
So that was
osprey.
I mean, it was really remarkable. I remember one time driving down Jerry's Flats, which is along the river, and in the car by myself screaming, a bald eagle had just swept across my windshield, and I was like, "Oh, bald eagle!" as it's going away, and I'm like, no one else can hear me. That was really cool. So
exactly.
Yeah, I adore it. I grew up in Colorado, so I'm very, we were very much nature based as well, and you fall in love with nature very easily living in these places. So when we visited Oregon, that was about 8 years ago. We visited Oregon. We were coming to see my partner, her actual folks. We were going to drop the news that there was an opportunity in Florida, and I had an opportunity to start a business there. And so I thought, okay, this is where we're going to go. She had some qualms about telling her folks because she certainly moved to Colorado after I graduated school, and that was kind of a shotgun thing. So they were sort of concerned, and so we both thought maybe best to tell her that type of news in person. So we came to Oregon to really just sort of drop some bad news that we were moving further away. And they gave me a whirlwind tour of Curry County, of every place you could possibly see and fall in love with, and I did. I fell in love with the coast and with Oregon, and I thought this would be such an easy move. The hardest part was convincing my wife to move back to an area that she was like, I love it because I grew up here, but I was ready to try something different. But I did sort of work on her on that, and I remember, in fact, standing out on Otter Point in Gold Beach. It was sunset, and we were just sort of looking at the water hitting those sandstone rocks, and just sort of feeling like worries were sort of just washing away.
Oh, beautiful.
And I kind of leaned over to her and said, why did you ever leave this place? And she was like, well, when you grow up here. And I was like, no, I get it. I've lived several different states, so I get it, trying to see something new and whatnot. And so, I sort of dropped that to her, and she just thought, well, maybe, and our kids at the age, were about to go into high school, so we thought maybe it would be a good time to come back because they were getting into middle school. Middle school was kind of a difficult time for them, and so that maybe it would be a good way to, get them back to people they know and love and stuff. And so we made the jump, made the leap, and so here we are.
You said no to Florida, yes to Oregon.
No to Florida, yes to Oregon.
Well, and we're so glad you're here. That is awesome.
It probably was the best decision of my life.
You hear that, everybody? Best decision of her life.
Yeah, next to marrying my wife, of course. Yeah,
okay, good.
Absolutely.
Put that one number one. Yeah, love always wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that was it was a really serendipitous time too. Things just fell into place for us without a lot of conflict.
Right on.
And so it happened quickly, and we ended up here. and we've been here 7 years again.
Beautiful.
I've fallen more in love with Oregon through my job here at the county.
See, and I call all that joyously free moments.
Yeah.
When you just know, you have that peaceful feeling, that joyful feeling, everything is rolling and rocking and doing the way it needs to do without the stress.
I've learned to follow that feeling a lot more in my life. To understand, when those things are happening serendipitously, you're on the right path.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, that's been sort of just a guiding light for me my entire life.
You betcha.
Yeah.
And that's why this show, you tie the LGBTQ stuff in it, you tie the joy stuff in that, and that's a spiritual thing.
Oh, yeah.
When you experience that and you trust that.
Yes.
And that's what you've done.
Yes, I do.
So moving on. So let's go back to your story.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So we ended up here. The county was looking for someone with video experience. Of course, that was part of what I was doing. Before that, I was actually helping market small businesses with small vignettes for YouTube, which was starting to become a thing. Mm-hmm. And so when I got to Oregon, did a quick looked at the landscape of all the businesses and saw that most of them were not online and most of them were not using social media. And for me, I knew that was going to be too hard of a lift for one person. And so I said, well, I have to start looking elsewhere. And so I saw an ad for the county. They were looking for video experience. And so I applied and immediately, as I was hired, they asked, what else can I do? And so gave them sort of the wealth of experience that I've been able to sort of build up a resume. I think untraditionally, I worked for most of my 20s, got up to mostly in accounting, some business management, and then decided to go back to school. And so I was actually a late bloomer. I went back to school at 28 and then graduated at 35. And so here I am, close to being 47, and I'm doing work that I think sort of allows me to use all of my skills.
Oh, boy. That's a really, really good point right there.
Yeah, all the skills that I've ever built up to this point. And so whenever I'm talking to anyone, especially the younger ones, I always tell them, listen, as long as you're putting your foot forward and you're learning something new, you got to be able to take that to the next thing, whatever that is. And you don't have to, it doesn't have to be concrete. Life will happen and you'll see that path will come, it'll sort of open up for you. And so that's something that I think every day, I'm always wondering what's next.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, and you put your gifts to good use. Your video, your business, your heart.
Oh yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about your video and film dreams and hopes for the Wild Rivers.
So film school, yeah. I would absolutely love to. I'm really wanting to build out a media program here in the county. I've talked to tons of folks. They've heard me say this 1,000 times, but we do live in a media desert. There's not one TV channel here that we can all go to. And so the county is actually split up in different distributions for media. And so when I'm doing a media buy, for instance, for our marketing for the tourism and whatnot, sometimes I have to go all the way up to Eugene to capture people, in the north part of the county. And then out to the valley, people get it, from Brookings on. I know people who, for instance, don't get anything from the valley, and they get it in Northern California. So
you're talking about TV stations?
TV stations,
TV stations. And we don't have a TV station
We
here.
don't have a
So this
TV.
is your big dream.
So a big dream would be something that would be able to connect all of Curry.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Listeners, as you're hearing this, would you let KCIW know what your feelings on that? Would you like to have a local TV station here? Would that be so cool?
Yeah, it would be so
Miranda,
cool.
I love it.
Yeah, it would be so cool. I think it would. One, it'll allow us to continue to sort of build up workforce around creative media, which is a huge need now. Everyone in in under the clouds are using media to get to people. People understand it now that social media has sort of taken over, things that we used to use like Yellow Pages and whatnot. So, telling our little stories, the baker down the street, who opens up early in the morning, or, the river guides who are fishing, the Rogue and the Checo, or even out in the ocean.
Right.
It's all those little stories that we get to capture on video, and those are all opportunities I think we can build here in Curry with the youth. And so I'm a huge proponent of, getting the youth involved in media, in creative media, because it is a need and it's going to be a continued need into the future. So
you betcha. And I know the Wild Rivers Film Festival, which is coming up in August.
Absolutely.
I'm guessing that you're going to be there. You're in the film world, and they're going to have their youth time, their youth program, which is fabulous. And people can get a hold of the www.wildriversfilmfestival.com to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So are you a person that likes to direct and create your own films and videos, and that's why the county wanted your expertise?
Yes, absolutely. So when I was in film school, my focus was on editing and directing. And so I love both of those, in fact. With directing, you get to sort of work with actors and bring out things that they couldn't really foresee themselves doing on camera. And that's fun to see that in them. And then when it comes to editing, that's where you get to finally tell the story. You get to put together everything, and you can make it concise. And sometimes you have to let go of your baby to make the story better, but it ends up being better in the end. And all that stuff again, is just so sometimes serendipitous.
Well, I think it's serendipitous that you and I met here today. Mike and I have the movie Wowzer.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's like, oh my God. And Mike, oh my gosh, I might even get into Michael Gorse here, but you two are like cousins in this whole world.
Well, Mike has sung your praise as well. And as soon as I heard about, the book that you have and that you've been writing a few others, I was like, immediately, I'm like, has anyone told her story yet, like on film? Because my brain immediately goes, that would be a great movie.
Yes, pretty. And we all have great stories.
Yeah.
And even whether it's a 1-minute clip or a 15-minute clip or a movie, it's worth telling those stories like you just said.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So for the county, as the economic development administrator, what are you doing for Curry County? How was we as Curry residents see your works?
So I'm like a connector. I tend to connect businesses to programs that when they're in need of whether resources or expertise.
Okay, so stop right there.
Sure.
So businesses that are listening right now, get a hold of Miranda. How?
Oh, you can reach me at econdev at currycountyor.gov. That's the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay, repeat that one more time.
Econdev, so ECONDEV at currycountyor.gov. That's the quickest way to get a hold of me. And, really what my goal is to really connect businesses who are looking for either information. I love to be able to go in, find out who they are, what their whys are, how can I tell their story, and who can I connect them with if I can't directly help them.
That's a great connector.
Yeah, and so I always say use sports analogies because I was in sports quite a bit, but it's like a point guard or a quarterback. I'm really out there just trying to connect all the resources to all our businesses. And so we treat our business licensing program sort of like a chamber. We try to give them more than what they're doing, because there's a business license fee for $125. And oftentimes we get people who ask, well, what can I get out of that $125? So just recently, we did a grand opening ceremony for 2 businesses here in Harbor. That was extremely fun. And so that was like probably the best highlight recently that I could think of. And then Women in Business is something that we do.
That's where I met you.
Yeah, with CCD. So we certainly take part in that. We work with DC, South Coast Development Council, and those folks just did a pitch night. I was there at that pitch night judging the pitches, heard some fantastic businesses that were actually going there to sort of win prize money. And this prize money was up to $6,000. And we actually, there was a panel of us, and we agreed on a couple of businesses at the top. And one of them was here in Port Orford, and she's got an amazing business that I can't wait to tell more about.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we're doing. Of course, we're always marketing and branding, and then we can help with graphic design and then logos and whatnot. So from the start of a business all the way up to someone ready to expand.
Can you see, everybody, that this could be a lot longer than 30-minute conversation? So definitely get a hold of Miranda, because I think she can help you and help our community, and that's what it's about, because we are all wild and scenic is what I'm thinking. Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Miranda, I hate to cut you off, but it's like this time has gone by so super fast.
Super fast.
I know. I want to thank you from the top of my heart and bottom of my heart for being here and knowing more about you. Let's also thank you, the listeners, tuning in today. Let's also thank Steve Van Cleve and Todd and Sally Roy for sponsoring this show. Let's give the big thanks to Mike Gorse on the sound, Tom Bozak, Rose, Candace, everybody who runs KCIW. We know that all of you have picked up some kind of tip or story today from Miranda, so stay tight with us. Any questions, give KCIW a call or get a hold of Miranda. You know what? We're going to end this with smile big and wear bright colors. Go explore those wild rivers. Have a great day, everybody.